Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Hopecast. I don't know if we're going to keep that name or not. I just threw it up there to get us going. Um, I think I'll just take a minute to explain what we're doing here. About 6 months ago, my doctor found something in my blood work, this dreaded PSA thing, right? It
Yep.
was started to climb a little bit. So he sent me to a urologist, and the urologist sent me to a bunch of tests. The first test was a MRI. Second test was a biopsy. The third test was a PET scan, which I literally just got home 2 seconds ago from. So
How did that go?
it was like everything else. It was scary as hell.
Yeah. In fact, the scary part's from now until you get the results.
Yes, yeah, that's the
Yeah,
worst part. Your
I'm
brain
telling
is
you.
just running wild. But
Sure.
so all this stuff started going down, and I wanted to, since I'm starting my journey just now, I figured I would want to. I'm already a podcaster. I have two other podcasts. If you're interested in podcast, I'll just drop some links in the description. No need for me to go over it now, but I've thought that doing a podcast would be a good way to get the word out, because I feel it's very important that you share your story, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I had no idea I had cancer. Like, if you had asked me today and hadn't been through all these tests, I feel perfectly fine.
Yep.
I have no inclination that there's some foreign crap in my body right now. So I feel it's very important to talk about it. And myself and Steve, which I met in a support group, if we sit down and we tell our stories and it clicks, and some guy gets a physical because of what he's hearing from us, and we save a life, I think it's well worth just sitting here and talking about it, right?
There you go. And it's also a great opportunity to share some of this information. I mean, obviously, when you get diagnosed, the first thing you're going to do is go to the Google, and you're going to get a lot of information, some of which is true, some isn't, and there's a lot of opinions. And I know in the
Yeah.
prostate cancer support group on Facebook, which is where we got introduced, there's a lot of stories there, and a lot of people have some common threads going through their stories to where they go, I wish I would have known. Why didn't I? And if we can do that, I've asked people since I was diagnosed, what's your PSA? And they go, what?
Right.
And I
Yeah.
go, you're my age. You should know what your doctor should have been doing these tests. It's just a blood test. It's simple. And I said, so that's when you know you have cancer? And I said, absolutely not. That is just one of the pieces of the puzzle that the doctors and your team, because you're going to have a full team and you're going to have so many people throughout this entire process. You're not going to remember all of them, but it's a personal decision. And I think that's one of the things we need to hammer home. This is nothing that you're going to find on a support group that goes, hey, you know what? I agree with you 100%, because everybody had a different journey, right? And when you get
Correct.
into mine, I had so many issues on the backside post surgery that had nothing to do with my prostate, that it changed the course of my journey at that point, because all kinds of weird things happen. And we're going to get to all of that. But I think the number one thing is be nice. Um, People have
Yeah.
questions. They jump on pages, they ask things anonymously. And the first post I did anonymously. You know
Yeah.
why? Because there is a stigma that goes along with this.
Hmm.
People hear prostate and they go, "Oh, I know what that is." And I go, "Do you know what your prostate does?" That's the question, because until you're diagnosed and you have this issue, you go, I didn't know that. I didn't know that it, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
there's a
Exactly.
lot of things that you may have thought you knew that you didn't really have a clue about. And I think if we can just open the curtains up and go, look, here's the experiences we've had, and bring in people that have had this so we can share the story. All I want to do is spread awareness. And I think
Exactly.
that's something we talked about. We're on the same page. If we can sit down and talk, we can hopefully help one person. But I think we can help a
Yeah.
whole lot more than that
Yes.
if people will just share this and go, there's two guys that care about us.
Yeah.
Because I truly do. And that's I get on that page and I go, I am so sorry. You go, what do you say? Because what did you think the first time you heard the C word, right? When the doc says, hey,
Yeah.
it's prostate cancer.
Yeah. My brain shut off. Everything, like, I had my wife come with me because I told her, I said, you're going to have to come with me because if he says the C word, I'm going to shut off and
Yep.
I won't know anything he tells me after that.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what happened. I could sit there, I heard words coming out of his mouth, but I was just numb. But, and also what I want to say as we're starting this off, we're never going to sway you one way or the other. That's another thing that really aggravated me about the support group is because I first jumped on my first post was, hey, I'm new here. I just found out I had prostate cancer, and literally my journey is brand new. I just found out 2 weeks ago, Monday. So this is very brand new to me.
Right.
So, I said, and after talking to my doctors, I talked to two different doctors, and I decided I'm going to do surgery. Man, I got lambasted. Oh, don't do surgery. You got to do radiation, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, I was like, whoa, what the hell? What did I do? So I
Right.
just want to be upfront and clear. You're not going to get that from us here.
Absolutely not.
Whatever your decision is, hey, I support it 100%, man. You're not on the same journey as I am, and I'm not on your journey. So I just felt, I feel surgery will be better for me because the idea of radiation, chemotherapy, and all that crap, you're killing your body inside and out. But that's just the way I
Right.
feel. I saw my mom die from a really bad episode of cancer, 30 years ago, and it horrifies me.
So, I mean, I guess the question is, where did it come from? Why me? Why did I get it? That's
Yeah,
that question that you ask and go, okay, now
yep,
what am I going to, you need to stop, slow down. And I love the fact that you said your wife was with you,
yeah,
because if you don't have somebody on your support team
yeah.
there as soon as they start talking. Now, what's bizarre, I got my information over the phone.
Wow.
I was getting ready to go back to work. I was on lunch and they called and they go, hey, guess what? And I go, are you serious? And I go, well, here's your two options. And I go, radiation or surgery. And I said, so what are we doing? So at that point, you would say, well, why didn't you do what I did? Right. And you go,
Yeah,
wait, stop, back up. Your numbers, all of these stuff that everybody throws around on the site, they talk about, they'll go, hey, well, what was your pyrad number? What was your PSA? Did it climb? What was the doubling rate? What was this? What was that? And you don't know what the heck they're talking about. They're using little things. You go, what do you mean margin involvement? I don't know what that means.
right.
So you have to understand we're here to try to help. I'm not a doctor. You're not a doctor. We're trying to share our journey and allow people to maybe do some more research, maybe look into something we say that they go, hey, you guys didn't do that, but you mentioned, or someone else that's going to come on is going to mention that. And it doesn't matter. Your thing is you're here. We are here for the sole purpose of supporting you.
Yes.
And if you're good with that, you keep coming back and go. So I think the easiest way to do this is just to go, hey, here's a basic outline of our journey and where we're at right now. So you have a really long journey, right? So far?
Yes. Yes.
It
Super
seems
long.
like it, huh?
Yeah. It's 2 weeks, but I'm already I was literally thinking to myself today when I was at the PET scan, I was like, man, I just want my life back, man. I just
Yeah.
want to go back a couple weeks, man, because my whole world flipped upside down. And
And it does.
so when they took me back from the PET scan, he hooked me up to like an IV, and he said, sit in this chair. You have to sit here for an hour. I said, oh, well, if I have to sit here for an hour, can you send my wife back here so I have somebody to talk to or whatever? And he said, no, because you're going to be radioactive. The stuff that we put in is people can't be around it. And my first thought was, and you're injecting this into my system? What?
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to have a little look around. What did you go? Yeah. But I mean, I didn't have a PET scan. And people said, why would you do, whatever? Why would you do surgery without a PET scan? You have to have one. And I go,
Yeah.
different scenario.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you were told your wife was there, this was after all of this stuff. So you started off, obviously, you went to the urologist and he said, hey, we're going to do a check. And that's not nearly as scary. It's, he does it. This is what he does for a living, right?
Yeah.
Have to see if it's the finger test. They aren't doing it. I don't remember what the term was, but it's not the finger test, but that's what it ends up being. And no pun intended, it's all about the end, right? And they're trying to feel if the prostate's enlarged, if there's any lumps, anything that would cause concern. Because a PSA does not mean that you have cancer. It could just be an enlarged prostate. It could be because you were intimate.
My urologist said you could ride a bicycle, come in here, and your PSA is high because you're putting pressure on that area.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of things that could raise it. So, and my PSA was super low. It was so the reason why they found mine is because I was sick, really sick in September, October. I had caught COVID. I was out of work for a week for COVID. And then just as it started clearing up, I got pneumonia. And then I was out of work for almost 2 weeks. So I was almost out of work for almost an entire month. And then COVID turned into asthma. And so I was a wrecking ball for like a month. But during that time, they did 2 different blood tests on me. And my doctor just tested everything, right? So in that matter of 2 months, my PSA levels went from like a 4.2 to a 5.2, which you would think that's nothing, right? But the problem is that it went up. So my doctor was like, well, I don't like this, so I'm just going to send you to a urologist. And I was in denial big time. I was like, well, my numbers are not even high, but I'm still going to go because I'd be an idiot not to go. And if something really was wrong, right, and then I died from it. Right. So I go to the urologist and I was asking him questions. Well, can the PSA rise if I'm sick? Cause I was really sick for a month and a half. And he said, yes, absolutely. So he checked with his finger. Right. And he's like, oh, everything feels good. So I'm going to send you to an MRI anyways. So I'm like, whatever. So everything was like a month and a half out, right? So this all started in like October. So a month and a half out, I go to my MRI, and then a week later, I go back to get the MRI results, and I'm still thinking, I'm just joking around, this is nothing, because he checked me digitally, my numbers are low, I'm good. And he said, oh yeah, you have 2 lesions on your prostate. And I was like, what? And he said, okay, now it may not be cancer, but we have to double check. So we're going to send you to a biopsy. The dreaded biopsy, man. Holy moly.
So, let me back up 1 second, because somebody's going to say they found 2 lesions. It was a PIRAD. Do you know what they scored that at?
Yeah, it was a 3. So you're talking about the 3 + 4 = 7?
No. On the PIRAD, they'll say the lesion is like 1 through 5. 5.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. Yeah.
Yes. The lesions were, he said so again, I'm just learning all this stuff. So
go ahead. This is what's awesome about this.
The lesions were, he said the way we grade lesions, they're a 1 to a 5. And so 1 being, we'll keep an eye on it, but it's not really a big deal. And a 5 is like, oh boy, we have to act on it. Right.
Right.
My lesions scored a 4. So that's why he sent me to the biopsy. But the biopsy told a different story. So the biopsy was very interesting. I had no idea what a prostate biopsy is. They insert this probe, and then they shot 12, I guess, needles, or I don't know.
It's that little gun. They go pop, and they're just taking little microscopic cores.
Yeah, and they hit it 12 times. And then when I came back for the results for that, and that's when the doctor told me, yes, you have cancer. and he rated those again 1 through 5. And he said out of the 12 of them, 11 of them were a 1, where it's you, you know, you can live with it, but we're going to
Right.
watch it. And the 12th one was a 2, where it started to like move or do whatever it's doing. So he said that's the one we have to worry about, and that's when he started the ball rolling. And
Uh,
my Gleason was a 7. So I don't
mhm.
really. I'm still learning all this stuff. It
Yeah,
scored a 3 plus
4-3 or a
4 equals 7.
3-4? Oh,
Yeah,
you had a 3-4?
3
Yeah.
4. Yeah.
And see, and people, if you don't know what we're talking about, it's the numbers that they're going to give you on your reports. And I think it would be good just to go, hey, we're going to dig into these in a later episode. We're going to go, let's get somebody that can like explain this. It's been through this longer than we have, because my journey didn't start too long ago. I say that it was in February of 24, and it happened again like a PSA test. Back in 2015, it was 3.2, jumped up to 5.2, and stayed there in 21. And then when 23, it went up a little bit. But then when we did it in January, or February rather, it was 8.8. And they go, oh no, that's not good. And so they ship me off. Of course, you do everything that you do to get to the next step. And I had some other interesting things that they had to do to me before this all went. But the CT, I had that done in April, I guess. And they said, hey, you have renal cysts on your kidneys and an enlarged prostate. So the kidney stuff, I went, what's that? And they go, oh, it's just little tiny lesion things, little cysts that fill with blood and they get hard. And I go, so, and they said they aren't anything to worry about. And I said, all right, great. So I'm thinking, we're good. And they said, you need your MRI done. That's where they can actually go in and do the crazy measurements on the prostate and tell you what's going on, if you have any lesions. And they said, well, you have a large dominant PIRADS 5 lesion. And I go, PIRADS 5 lesion? What is it? And then I looked it up and it says cancer, right? So when you see that PIRADS 5, it's not a good thing. But this thing was 1.5 by 2.8 by 2.5 centimeters. So this was just this big mass that was hanging on the side of my prostate. Um, and so they said, oh, okay, so your prostate's not really enlarged, but you have something about the third of your prostate on the side, and you need to go in and do an MRI guided biopsy, which is what you had, right? And there's
Mm-hmm.
two different ways they do that. The one that you had where they do the probe, the other one they're in between. We'll talk about those at some point. I had the same one you had. It's funny online because people said that is the worst thing I've ever been through my entire life. I can't believe, people do this without being put under and this and that and the other. And I go, was that an option? And I'm thinking, what's going on? So, I will say this: you are going to lose all dignity. And when your brain goes, oh my gosh, I have to do what? Just do it because you have to do it, right? This is all part of what they're going to do. So
Yeah.
this biopsy, not comfortable. They took,
Mm-hmm.
I think 15 cores because they did like 3 or 4 out of that mass. They wanted to see what's going on. But the problem with it is they're taking such a small sample that when they do that and they give you a result, when you get done with surgery and they actually do they're going to dissect this thing and you're going to have all kinds of great information coming up. But the results from that, they said you had 6 of these that were 3 plus 3, 7 that were, I had some 6s, sorry, at 30%, 7 at 30%, 3, 4, 3, 4 at 50% in another zone. Then they got into the one and they said, no, it's at least a 4, 3, and it's 90% of your cores have cancer. But this thing that's all that we took out of it was cancer. And I go, holy cow. So they did a whole body scan. you had a PET scan. I wish they would have done that
Yeah.
for me. But it's basically the same thing. They put stuff in you and say, we're going to scan you. And it takes a while and claustrophobic. But you get
Yep.
done. They said, you have degenerative changes in your shoulders and your hips, your knees, your foot. And I go, okay, I've injured all of those at some point. I mean, come on. we were a little goofy as kids, right? And
Yeah.
kind of hurt ourselves. So they did a pathology report. I had surgery August 28th. So from February till the end of August, it was that waiting game. And what are you going to learn, right? And so that's when I got really deep into the dive to learn what's going on. But I say surgery date, that's when all hell broke loose for me, because the surgery itself, well, I will say the prostate removal went well. It was everything that happened on the backside of that. And like I say, we'll get into that at some point. But I had my 3-month PSA, ultra sensitive PSA, and I was undetectable at less than 0.01, which is where they do that. And I said, yes. 3 months later, in June, well, that was the first part of January, I had another one, and they said, okay, here's your results. It's 0.02. And I go, where's the old less than? Where's all that stuff?
Yeah.
Because I'm not seeing it, and it's not there. So now I'm looking at this. I had one of the surgeon's assistants say that at 0.025, they start getting pretty concerned, and they go, we want to do it early because then we need to go. And I said, but wait, where is it? If it's going to spread, a PET scan, they said, no, you have to wait until it's 0.2 at least before they can figure that all out. And I just went, this is a never ending battle. And I guess that's why it is a battle, right? And you go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, through the whole thing, I said, why me? How did I get prostate cancer? It's not in the family. It's not any. And they said, if your mother had breast cancer, or if it's on that side. And I go, there was a lot of cancer family on my mom's side. I don't know a lot about my dad's stuff, but everything from mouth cancer to cervical to, on and on. My mom, I think she is a 2 or 3 time survivor. Some of it was before I was born, but now, I go, my children, I go, what do I do? Because they said, if your dad has prostate cancer, you have a better chance of getting breast cancer. You have a better chance of getting prostate cancer. So I told my sons, I go, when you go to the doctor, you get your annual, you get your blood work, get it. If your doctor says you're too young, tell them your family history. They work for you, right? And I think that's what I have a problem with. We look at these doctors on pedestals, and they know, they went to school, but then you get all this information from other people and go, don't jump to surgery. Don't jump to this. Don't jump to that. And I go, if you had a PIRAD 5 huge mass on the side of your prostate, and it's already, the problem is I had margin involvement and, all of that on the pathology report. So it was outside of the margins, which means some cells were left behind. What do? They can pretty much go anywhere. But that whole debate, do you do radiation? Do you do surgery? It's a personal thing. It's a decision that when you make that decision, you're going to second guess anything you do on this journey, right? But your support staff, you have to have people. If you don't have family around, you don't have and you're truly going through this alone, please reach out to us.
Yes,
reach out to somebody, get on the page and go, I need to talk, because it's so important that we share this with people, not it's a journey. We're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
It's awareness, and the fact that I'm excited about getting people on here and listening to their story, because you learn every time.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to that point. Unfortunately, I got kicked off the support group until March 6th. Some guy posted he said a saying, and I was like, man, I love that saying. I'm getting ready to start a podcast. Is there if I use that? And he said, absolutely. also make T-shirts, because my goal is, if I sell T-shirts, I would love to uh, help kids out with cancer, because I know as an adult it's scary as hell. I could only imagine what a child is going through. So my
For
goal
the
with
parents.
this is to help children out. So I created a T-shirt with his saying on it, and I posted it, and I said, "Hey, buddy, look what I did with your saying. This is awesome." And then, boom, banned for till March 6th, because you're not allowed to sell stuff on the thing. I was like, "Oh, I screwed up."
Oh, well, I'm still there. So I can post
Yeah.
stuff,
Yes,
You go and you go,
definitely.
"Hi, how you doing?" Yeah. I will have to be careful what I say as well, I guess. But
Yeah.
anyhow, I think
I
that's
was
a
like,
pretty
whatever.
good idea of what we have in mind for this show.
Yes, and
I know we
we also started a Facebook page, so jump over there and join our Facebook page. That's where you're going to find all the updates from us, podcast stuff, and yeah, we're just starting this thing out, so I think it will be pretty good.
yeah, it was kind of cool the way this whole thing came together. And I go, what's weird? I set up a little makeshift voiceover studio. I was in radio for a long, long time. And I said, I want to get back into doing that, doing some voiceover stuff, doing
Yeah,
something. I want to start a podcast and just tell my story, and you were saying, I want to tell my story. I go, that's part of my story. So why don't we share everybody's story? And I think this is just going to snowball into that support group.
yeah,
My vision, if somebody is going through it alone, there's somebody that's following along with what we're doing, that believes in this to the point where they will volunteer to be on the other end of the line,
yes.
because it's scary and it does shut your brain down.
It really does, and I feel like I have a lot to say, but I'm going to keep this episode to about 30 minutes. But also, I want to talk about in future episodes lifestyle changes that you're making to get your body ready for the fight. A couple things I did already: I stopped sugar, and I haven't had a drink of alcohol in 2 weeks since I've started my journey. So
All right.
I definitely want to get into the back end of the stuff too, and family, and also would love to spend an entire episode on, and this drives me nuts, is, oh, you got prostate cancer. At least you have the good cancer.
Holy cow. I was going
What?
to use that line because I go, okay, I'm going to say something that pisses me off so
Yeah.
bad, because you go, are you serious? I don't care what kind of anything you have. You have a hangnail and it hurts. I care about the fact that it hurts. I can
Yeah.
sympathize. I've done that. If you haven't walked through this battle, you have no clue.
Yeah.
If your family hasn't, but it's you. And that's what we need to remember. It's the families don't get it all the way, because there's a lot of emotional stuff that goes along with this. And you go, I am not a crier.
Yeah.
And that was a toilet paper commercial. And they were talking, it's
Yeah.
just like stupid things happen because your brain is constantly on that. And you go, what do?
Yeah.
You pick up a guitar, you do whatever it is you do that can get your mind off of it. But people go, oh, just don't worry about it. Your appointment's not for another month and a half. And you go, I'm going to do nothing but worry for a month and a half. So
Yes.
yeah, so we definitely need to get that out there as well. But
I haven't
no,
slept in 6 months, you son of a.
yeah, it's the easy cancer.
Yeah.
At least you got the good one.
Yeah. Oh,
What are
okay.
you talking about? You want to hear some of the side effects that I've been
Yeah.
dealing with for 6 months? Call me. We'll talk. But anyhow, I want to get into all that too.
Yes.
And,
Yes,
a
definitely.
springboard, hi, this is us, and this is a podcast of no script, I guess. I had some of my numbers in front of me, but other than that, we're here to
Yeah.
talk and learn.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll evolve as we go, like whether we put a format together or just wing it. I'm game for either one. And I didn't have my numbers with me because I literally ran in the door and ran straight up to my man cave, because when I say I just got back from my PET scan,
Mm-hmm.
literally just walked in the door for my PET scan.
Yeah. Well, see, I wouldn't have had mine, except we were supposed to record this last night,
Yeah.
and I was in a different time zone, even though I'm not in a different time zone. It was
Yeah.
like I saw 6 and it said 5 to 6, and I go, okay, it's 6 o'clock. My wife goes,
Yeah.
you did say 5, and I go, oh well. You know what? We got
Yeah.
her done.
It
And we're on
happens,
the same
man.
page now. Yeah, it does. So anyhow, yeah, I hope that's the weirdest thing that happens during all
Yeah.
of this, but it won't be. But no, join in. It's gonna be a fun ride. Now, do you have all of
Yes.
the Facebook information? You're gonna post it, right?
Yes, I'll
We'll
post
just drop it in the
everything,
links.
and I can edit this one, but if you're into editing, I'm perfectly fine you editing it. We'll figure all that stuff out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot to edit. We
yeah,
just
my other podcasts, I don't really. I stopped editing. I just drop it the way it is. I mean, 'cause I
sure,
love organic stuff, and
sure.
so I think for something like this, it definitely needs to be organic. I don't, and I'm also kind of against sponsors because I don't want to have to. We're in the middle of somebody's journey and stop for a sponsor break. But there'll be other ways that we can raise money. Again, we're going to have links in the description. If you like what we're doing or uh, any of this stuff, so there will be a link for donations because this is not free. It's so a
No.
dollar or two would help us out go a long way.
Buy us a cup of coffee. Yeah, I mean something. I mean
Yes.
none of this is quote cheap, but
Yeah.
I'm to the point now. That's not the point. The point
Yeah.
is to get it out there and go. But I know a
Yes.
lot of
Yeah.
people are going to
Exactly.
want to do something, and we're
Yes.
talking maybe T-shirts, maybe this, maybe that. Um, it was underwritten by, I don't, a before and after thing. An old radio guy says, what, you're going to talk and not have, it's something. See, this is all
This
new. We're
I'm
going
not
to figure it out.
so okay, let me rephrase that. I'm not opposed to that as long as the the sponsors at the very beginning or at the very end.
There you go. Bookend it.
Yeah.
There you go.
I just don't want to stop for commercial break. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Keep the flow going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm all like again, we're going to
We'll be back.
evolve. We will definitely evolve. So who knows what
We'll be
happens?
back with your PSA numbers right after this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
But
All right.
again, we're not here to make money. We're just the goal is awareness. And again, one episode I'd love to talk about the difference between empathy and sympathy because I don't want anybody's sympathy. I'm going to be honest with you, that aggravates the hell out of me.
Yeah.
But the empathy will go a long ways, and grace. This country lacks a lot of grace. I would love to hit on that one day.
Mhm.
You could drive down the road and you can see everybody that lacks grace. They're cutting you off, they're flipping you off, they're honking. Like you have no idea what that person in that car has gone through in their life. Maybe they just left a doctor and just found out they have cancer. Because trust me, that happened to me 2 weeks ago, driving down the road and my brain was numb. Everybody calm down, man.
Yeah.
Calm down.
What'd they say? All you need is love. Come on,
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
don't be
Hey,
a butthead, and we'll be all right.
Yeah, we're one race, man. So,
There you
all right.
go.
Do you have anything else to say before we cut this one off?
I think we're good. I just hope everybody has a little bit of patience with us, and we're going to get through
Yeah.
this. But I think
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot of fun, and we will get to the guests eventually. But we
Soon.
still have some more story stuff to talk about.
Soon.
Yeah. And so if you guys have any topics, definitely let us know what's on your mind because
Yep.
we both been doing a lot of digging. We obviously don't know everything about this.
Nope.
And so we'll get a doctor on here if we want, and we can talk to them.
Yes.
Because I'm sure they're out there that would love to do that. But there's a lot of ideas, a lot of directions. All I'm saying, it's going to be fun, and we're going to get people aware.
Yes. Absolutely. All right. Well, that's it for this episode. We'll see you
Next time.
in episode number 2.
There you go.
We're moving up in the world already.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. See you guys, I guess, next week.